When he's speaking about the American people, that's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you.
Kamala Harris was just on Fox News for a much-anticipated interview. She absolutely knocked it out of the park. Has Fox News actually saying this about the interview?
At times, especially when she was trying to go after Donald Trump, she was fairly effective in that. To try to get her point of view across.
I have more positive reactions from Fox News hosts, actually, as they were responding to her interview. But I want to bring you some of the best moments from that interview, which was not that long, but I think was going to be very, very effective. She said some really important things on the interview that the audience of Fox might not have heard anywhere else. So this was a very important moment for the campaign, 20 days out until Election Day. And you can tell Kamala Harris knew the audience she was speaking to, because she said this when asked if her presidency would be different than Joe Biden, when she was kind of challenged on that, when she made what some were considering a flub on The View, which it was not a flub. It's okay. But she was challenged on that in Fox, and she answered perfectly. Listen to this.
Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan.
Baby, she knew who she was talking to, because that Fox audience wants to, every independent voter wants to hear that Kamala Harris is not Joe Biden and that she's not going to be a continuation of the 4 years of the Joe Biden presidency, even though you and I know the Joe Biden presidency is one of the most successful presidencies in modern American history. Whatever, it suffered from terrible PR. So Kamala Harris has to say that. It's a good thing she said it. She's never said it before. She's saying it on Fox the first time. I'm glad she said it there. Secondly, I like that she's bringing up that Republicans are going to be a part of her policy ideas, formations. You know, that's something that's not going to obviously appeal to the left and to people that maybe are traditional baseline Democrats. But if you're a smart Democrat and you're watching this channel, so that means you're a smart Democrat, it means that you know that she needs to say these things. She needs to appeal to a wide net of Americans in order to win. Donald Trump wins by shrinking the electorate, by depressing turnout. He does that by making people feel like nothing is possible. I feel like maybe a lot of people have felt that way the last 2 weeks or so, that winning is not inevitable. That is not true. This is very much so something that we can do in the next few weeks. But he wins when we get depressed. And he wins when people feel like both candidates are terrible. That's how he wins, always. We can't allow that to happen. And so it's awesome that she is doing this interview on Fox. Now, there's another great clip here where Fox News tries to whitewash Donald Trump when he says that he was going to use the military against Americans using their First Amendment right to protest. And they tried whitewashing it by showing a different clip, and she called them out in real time. It's a sight to behold. I'm going to show it. It's a longer clip, but I think it's important, so I'm going to show it to you.
If he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States, why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you.
I'm telling you that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me...
I will just say the things I want to say about Brett Baier would get me demonetized. I'll just say that. Independent Republican voters, people who are looking for somewhere else to go, not that there's anywhere else to go but Donald Trump, but they need to see that. They need to see a fighter. And Kamala Harris provided two things in that moment. One, she showed she's a fighter. She's not going to be walked over. And Brett Baier, in much of this interview, I'm not going to show it to you, but Brett Baier, in much of this interview, tried as best as he could to talk over her. I thought it was completely disrespectful. But that's because he did not want to give her moments like this, very powerful moments. But secondly, I think she really did show the stakes of this election very candidly. That, you know, that's something that the Fox audience might not ever hear again. That Donald Trump said that. And it needs to be said. That he wants to turn the military against its own people for protesting using the First Amendment right. That is a fact. He has said that. We need to acknowledge that. Now, if people want to vote for that, then go ahead. But let's be clear-eyed about it. So I think it's great that Kamala Harris is doing this. Also, the contrast between her actually going into, you know, I don't want to say enemy territory, but unfavorable territory. These are not easy interviews. Donald Trump can only go on bro podcasts and Fox News hosts who are fawning over him, where they ask him questions like, wow, what is your favorite color, Donald Trump? And Donald Trump, when you win, how happy will you be? Like he does not get asked real questions. And when he has asked real questions, he cannot answer. He has no concept of policy. He has no desire to actually improve the lives. I'm not telling everything you already know. So I'm not going to repeat myself. But this is a great strategy, and it's exactly timed at the right time because this is when people are paying attention. So better she's doing it now than doing it in July. Because yes, the stakes are high, but I'd rather have as many eyeballs as possible on her now rather than it just being like, oh, Kamala Harris is doing Fox News again for the fourth time. And here's two reactions from a Fox host saying how good she did. I'll end it there and I'll see you next time.
You did a great job because you asked the tough questions and you went back at her with tough questions, and she should be pleased with how she performed this evening.
Well, she was combative and energetic, and she certainly landed some blows on Donald Trump.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?